Well, greetings and solicitations from Griswold Road. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm calling it a day. I started at about 8 this morning. Kevin came over about 10. He left about an hour ago. And he had the wonderful experience of taking this carbonizer off and putting the O-ring back in there. The good news is, it could have been either carburetor, and he lucked out. This was the first one he tried, and that's the one where the O-ring was had fallen out. Let's see. I have been working diligently all day on the electrical system. I didn't videotape any of it. Uh, I could videotape, like first day of electronics training in the Air Force. This is a wire. This is a battery. This is a switch. This is a light bulb. If you hook the wire to the battery and to the switch, you know, that wouldn't be much fun. Basically, I was trying to troubleshoot a electrical system that had been highly modified. We've put in a solid state rectifier regulator right here, Podtronics, and that replaces the Zener diodes in the original rectifier. We didn't put in a electronic ignition because there was one already, but I cleaned up all this wiring that was just a mess up there. Okay. The client asked me to check into the wiring in the headlight. I did that. It was actually okay, except they had a bad wire in here that I had to resolder and insulate up in here. They had no pilot light installed, so I installed one. And other than that, it looks healthy. All systems seem to work. Kevin spent I don't know how long getting this silly breather to go back and fit where it goes. Let's see, we got oil in the bike now. Let's see, so there's the breather hose down there. And oil in the tank. What else did we do today? Let me explain what's going on back here. Hey, Lucy, you got some explaining to do. This is the battery wire that goes to positive. Here's the battery down here. By the way, you notice that I paint these plus and minuses. I just fill it in with white paint, and after a little while I go back and just scrape the top off the emblem. It sure makes it easier to see so you don't hook it up backwards by accident. So anyway, positive and negative are going to, the negative is going to the fuse here, power to the fuse, and this is ground. This wire goes to the negative side of the battery. It drives the it connects to the starter relay, and then the starter relay connects to the starter. These two wires go to the battery directly, and they are for the auxiliary charge port, so you can hook up a battery up here. Let's see what else. These two wires, red and black, come from the Podtronics and go directly to the battery. That's your charging circuit. Everything else is tucked in under here. This is the new assimilator unit. I mounted it right there on the back of the air cleaner. That's a nice mounting. And everything's pretty clean. This is your ground. It'll go to the positive side of the battery. These two carry the current, the heavy load for the starter. So they carry the big volts, the big heavy 12 volts. And everything else is lightweight 12. It'll go through a 10 amp fuse just fine. You cannot put the starter circuit, these big guys, through a 10 amp fuse. Smoke it in a heartbeat. Let's see, what else? I've tested everything. I'm going to walk you through the testing. We're going to turn on the ignition here. Okay, with the ignition on, if I hit the starter button, you should hear this relay clicking, okay? Okay, that's your starter clicking. That'll spin the motor. Let's see. Turn signals. We got a left one, and we got another left one. And we got a right one. And up here in the bright lights, we got another right one. This pilot light will get you in trouble if it's back here and you won't have a headlight. I usually disable this switch because it just causes confusion. This is run, kill. This is your kill switch. Off either way, run in the center. That'll cause you problems. That's easy to have in the wrong position. Let me turn these turn signals off. Center that. High beam, we have, let's turn headlight on. Right here we have headlight and we have pilot light now. I added this. And we should have high beam, low beam, yep. Should have tail light at this point. And we do. And if I hit the brake light, the brake switch, that's the shifter, Frank. It's a 75. Oh, goody. Should have brake. Let's see, do I have ignition on? Let's try to brake this one. Am I just not seeing it? I had brake switch a few minutes ago. Gonna have to figure out why I don't have brake light. I just had it and then I put this cover on. Let me check that out. We would call that a failure. All right, so brake light's not working. I'll have to figure that out. Horn. Good, we got horn. And we have a neutral switch up here on the dashboard. We do not have high beam, low beam working. We don't have the ignition light on. And we don't have turn signal light on. So there are light bulbs to be addressed in here. Also, the side stand needs welding. And the client asked me to replace the primary cover gasket. I don't see any leakage, but it's always a good idea to open the primary and clean it out anyway. So I'll do that. So tomorrow we'll do more. We will probably hang the exhaust system and see if we put the tank on and see if we can do a first start. And in the meantime, I got to figure out why did I lose my brake light that was working just a little while ago. Like I say, trying to teach electrical troubleshooting is agonizing, full of false starts, full of false hopes, full of, well, I did that wrong. Yep. It's very, very difficult. It's time consuming, incredibly time consuming. I think last week you watched me do 3 hours just to find out that a solid state rectifier supplied with the electric starter on the little blue bathtub. It took me 3 hours to find out that a component supplied with the electrical system that the client purchased was bad. And took 3 hours to figure that out because it was a dead short. I kept blowing fuses and I kept looking for shorts, looking, and never finding. And finally going back there and disconnecting that rectifier. And that's what it was. It was shorted internally. I've never seen such a thing before. So, like I say, troubleshooting is extremely time consuming, very complicated, even though these systems are really simple compared to modern motorcycles. Got no confuser in there, just mechanical switches and electromechanical components. Anyway, like I say, I'm tired. It's a little after 2. I'll show you something. This is the wiring diagram for a 75 Commando. This is the same thing. I cut this in half, blew it up, and printed it out so I have much more clarity. I've added a lot of notes on it as to color codes. This is a diagram I made years ago to explain the assimilator versus the 75 versus the pre-75. These are photos that tell you how to hook these things up. And this is how you hook up the Norton 75 Norton assimilator. And this guy is confusing. When you run across this, you say, my goodness, what is this? Well, the Canadian bikes didn't have the assimilator, but in the exact same place with a lot of the same nomenclature. This guy actually, its job was to turn off the headlight while you were cranking the engine, because Canada had a headlights on law at the time, so you didn't have any control over whether or not the headlight was on. And in order to not steal current from the starter, or the starter assist as they called it, this little unit turned off the headlight when you press the start button. So these are interesting, and I'm probably going to spend some time redrawing this little area here, showing how the Podronic's electronic ignition system goes into the system instead of the old alternator plus 2 Zener diodes. That'll make my next time I work on one of these easier. So I'll share this. Anybody want it, just let me know. Email me at info@azbritbikes.com, info@azbritbikes.com, and I'll be more than happy to email you these copies. So actually, I'll email you anything. I got no secrets here. If you see something you think you'd like a copy of, just let me know and I'll send it to you. In the meantime, back at the ranch, things are looking up, things are looking tired, and I'm going to call it a day.